But let me tell you about one that didn't result in friendship. I was also in, I think, the 5th grade at the time, and I don't remember what happened, but typically, when I'm on the evening shift coming from school late in the evening, I'd get out and and jump on the bus to make my journey all the way back to Rock Hall. But in this case, I was actually living with my aunt. Because we had moved on from that point from Rock Hall, and I was living with my aunt and my Uncle Clive in Bridgeport. And when I remember that this girl, which I don't remember her name, but I do remember that it was late evening and I was getting ready to leave school. And right at the gate, she was standing there, and I don't remember how we got into a fight, but I do remember that she had 2 of her boy or male friends grab my arm, and she grabbed a stick and she beat the hell out of me with it, and there's nothing I could do about it. And so I was absolutely angry because it was not a fair fight, and so I went home because I was angry that they basically jumped me. And so I went home and I didn't tell anyone. Instead, I went and I got a steel pipe. Back in the day, they used to make plumbing with really solid, especially the part of the faucet that actually connect where you screw your hose onto. That tend to be a very solid piece of metal. And I remember grabbing a steel piece of pipe that, small, so I think it was like about this long. And I took it and I put it in, wrapped it up and put it in my book bag. And I thought to myself, well, I'm not gonna use it unless I'm forced to use it, unless she attacks me. And so when I got there in the morning, I was very surprised that when I got there, she was standing at the gate again. And this time, and she had a stick in her hand because she wanted to repeat the same thing. And I kind of held back for a little bit, but when she started hitting me with the stick, I reached into my book bag and I pull out this piece of metal and I hit her over the head. And in that moment, all I remember is blood everywhere. And back in those days, the students I remember the students gathering around me and go, "Oh, we're taken to the principal's office." The principal name at the time was Mr. Smalls, and they were all going to take me to Mr. Smalls' office. And what that meant is that, well, I was going to get a whipping. I was going to get caned in Mr. Smalls' office. But back then I was a little bit cocky, and so I decided, no, I don't need for you guys to escort me to the principal's office. I'll simply I'm on my way there. I'm willing to deal with the consequences. Well, it's one of those things when you think you're ready for something versus when it actually happened. So when I got there, Mr. Small, my God, he came the living hell out of me. He stopped. He went and he sipped a cup of tea, and I thought he was going to come back for a second time around. And he just sat me in a corner, and I was thinking, oh my God, this guy's coming back for seconds. But instead, what he did was he called my aunt Barbara, who was also a teacher. She was teaching the 3rd grade still at that time, and she came down and she got me. And then I guess she must have left for the rest of the day because she drove me home. And then told me to go in the room and sit in the corner while she thought about what to do with me. And while she was driving home, my aunt Barbara had this knack. She didn't have to hit you, and I don't remember her beating me at all. But what I do remember is her ability to be able to talk to me in such a way that it would make you feel so terrible that you'd rather take a whipping than actually listen to her, because she made you understand the consequences of what you did. And so when she took me home, I thought I was going to get in trouble for it, but I was grounded for it, so I couldn't go out and play. But she never beat me, for it, which I was very surprised by. And one of the things I learned from that is and I kind of took that with me. There was a couple other situations that helped me to reinforce the behavior. The behavior I'm talking about is sometimes you are thinking you're in control of a situation. And so you go with an intent to say, well, I'm not going to do anything. But the problem is that when you get there, they say the greatest thing that can affect your life is something that you don't have control over, is external force. And in this particular case, the external force was this girl who decided she was going to attack me again, and also all the things that transpired that I did not have control over. So if I had to give you one message, the message would be, if you think you might get into a situation where it could get out of hand, your best choice is to try to avoid it at all costs. Because going there thinking that you're going to control the situation, it might not work, and it typically will not work because the person is not going to do many times what you think they're going to do.